Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very special guest here in the building. Kaela Brown, the colorist. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, great to be here.
Oh no, thank you for joining
Thank
in
you.
on us. Thank you so much. How's your morning going so far?
Pretty good. Yeah. I mean, if I'm completely honest, I'm on the West Coast, so I woke up like 30 minutes ago.
Oh,
Uh, we over here in Houston, so we bright and earlier. Well, we it's
well,
still
we've been up since what eight this morning.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we had another guest earlier, but hey, like I said, this one is about you. We highlighting you, telling you thank you for everything you've done. And so what we'll do first is let's go ahead and get into the interview and ask you. So what tell us how did you get started in your profession as a colorist? How did you get started?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's going to be a long answer.
It's
So
all good.
um, I actually I went to school for journalism. So I'm a journalism major, and my first job straight out of college was working on the assignment desk at a news station out in LA. I went to school in San Francisco, but I told the dean of my major that I wanted to come back to LA, and she put in a good word, and I got a job right out of college. So I was very blessed in that way. And I started working for broadcast news because my internship was at a news station in San Francisco. And I kind of wanted to stay on the broadcast side of things instead of print. So I got a year-long contract at KMBC over here in Burbank, and yeah, that was in 2008. So the summer of 2008 through next year of 2009 was my contract, and it was pretty cool, for the most part. But one of the things about journalism is that you are supposed to tell the story of the people, and you're not really supposed to involve your personal opinions.
Mm,
I have too much of an opinion on various different things, and so basically, what ended up happening is over the Christmas holidays, they put me on a case where this guy had like dressed up as Santa Claus and like went to his ex-wife's house and like blew up the house, and that was just like a very tragic, traumatic thing for me to have to report on.
right.
And and then the following year, I think was or maybe it was earlier in 2008. Um, it was during the no hate. I don't know if you guys remember like the no hate campaign during that voting year, but it was basically for the LGBT community to be able to marry and
Mm,
have those rights. So yeah, I'm a part of that community, and it was very important to me that we were able to have those rights. And they put me on a story to interview this woman who was very against it and was basically telling me all the reasons why marriage
mm.
is sacred and gay people shouldn't be able to marry. Basically, so I was pretty much like this, like
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear about people who, you know, were against my rights, and then
Mm,
like people who were like murdering people, and then I, I was also on a rape case, and I was just like, this is like news. What they say is if it bleeds, it leads, and
hmm.
you know, uh, news can make you feel like the world is a lot worse than I think it really is for the most
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
And so I told my boss, when it was coming towards the end of my contract, that I wanted to stay in TV, but I didn't necessarily want to continue to work in news. And so she
Mm,
recommended me to a guy who gave me a job at this company, a television show for it was like a home video show.
Hmm.
So like most daring, most shocking, people who caught like crazy things on video. And that was my introduction into television. So I worked there for a couple years on the production side. as a freelancer, and um, through there, freelance is difficult because you have to look for a job every few months.
Mhm.
And I found a job in post production at a company that did the promos and marketing for shows like Ellen DeGeneres, the Wendy Williams show. What else did they do? Katie Couric had a show at that time, live with Regis and Kelly, which is now I think Kelly and Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, I think it's yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So
yeah.
they did all the promo for that. So I worked there for about 2.5 years. That was in like April of 2011. And that was my introduction into post production. And so that was where I learned how to do light assistant editor work and just kind of the post production workflow. So I had been doing that for a while, and then I left to another post production company. Eventually, I ended up at this small visual effects place in Burbank. Then that was my first introduction into how assisting a colorist at the time,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and doing some online assistant online editing, which is basically so the process is, when things are shot, it goes, everything's shot, everything's ready to go, it goes to post production, it goes to an editor who puts things together, and then once that editor is done, they give it to an online editor who then will basically replicate what they did. So that's just like linking the cut back together, making sure all of the effects look good, maybe doing some light blur work where it's needed, and getting it all set up um, in as final of a form as you can to then give to the colorist or color grader. And I worked there for about 2.5, almost 3 years, and that was how I learned the program DaVinci Resolve, which is the program that colorists color grade on. And um, yeah, thankfully, it was a small enough company to where they were willing to teach me how to do things.
Yeah.
And um, and that was my introduction into post production and color grading. So, um, yeah, all of everything that happened in my life, I feel like happened for a reason. And thankfully, I had really good people on my side who were willing to give me a recommendation. And so, in my professional life, I've been color assisting some of the top colorists now for, so let's see, that was 2004. Damn, yeah, almost 10 years. I mean, I did step away in the pandemic
Mhm.
for about a year and a half just because my
Yeah.
hours were being cut. We didn't know what was going to happen. And
Right.
was, I was actually contacted by the job that I had worked at who did the marketing for Ellen. They asked me if I wanted to come back full time. I needed a full time job, so I did that for about a year and a half. And then once the pandemic was over and things started up again, I got contacted to say like someone was like, "Hey, do you want to get back into color grading?" And I was like, "Yes." And uh, so yeah, I did step away for a little bit. So I would say for about probably like 7 to 8 years in total that I've been assisting. And yeah, now I work at Marvel. It's coming up on 2 years, and
Nice.
um, yeah, it's been great. I mean, I've out of all the companies I worked for, which is probably about two or three companies now before Marvel, um, Disney definitely takes care of their people. So
Mhm.
I'm really happy with where I'm at, and I'm learning a lot, and it's helping me out in projects I work on the side as well.
Okay. That's nice. Nice. Nice.
Beautiful,
Nice.
beautiful.
Explain to some people that share with the audience about colorism. Your job or what you.
Yeah, it's God, it's such a interesting job that not a lot of people know about. So when I
Mhm.
tell people I'm a colorist, they immediately think I work in hair.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know
Yeah.
that there were colorists in hair. I had no idea that they were called that. So like, um, yeah, whenever people ask me, do I work in hair? I'm like, no.
You
I'll
think
try
you
to
putting
explain it.
highlights?
Yeah, like I'll try to explain it as simply as I possibly can, because it is kind of complicated if you're not in the industry.
Right.
But basically, when things are shot on, excuse me, on camera, um, I think people think that when when like cinematographers shoot things, they come out looking like the colors are as beautiful as they are when they're watching things on TV or in movies.
Mhm.
But really, what the way that they come out is they come out in log, and what that basically means is that or raw,
Mhm.
the picture comes out looking very grayed out. So like right now, you can tell my shirt is pink, right? You can tell all
Mhm.
the colors behind me. The way that it would look would look as if all the colors have been like taken out of my video. My
Mhm.
skin would look gray. My pink colored shirt would look not like black and white gray, but like the saturation has been taken out of it,
Mhm.
and so when you give it to the colorist, what you're saying is, I've shot this in a way that I hope is beautiful, and I want you to just enhance that. So the
Mhm.
colorist job is to use tools within Resolve, saturation, contrast, highlights. Yeah, like if I start using like actual colorist terms, it's not going to mean anything. So like,
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
so yeah, to keep it really simple, it's just like I'm adding saturation, I'm adding contrast, I'm adding light. I might have to manually add light, like right here, like sorry, right here, right? You can see that there's a bright light coming out. So
Mhm.
what I might do is I might put like a window in this corner and take down the highlights just to kind of balance it out.
Okay.
Um, so really, what you're doing is you're balancing the color, and you're creating a look based on what the director wants, what the cinematographer wants, what the DP wants, and you're collaborating together to say like, if it's a scary movie, I might lean heavy into blues and greens. If it's a comedy, I will probably make the colors pop a little bit more. I might lean more into the grain if it's a scary movie. If it's a drama piece, I mean, I'll probably be using a myriad of things, right? So like if there's a scene where it's really intense and the characters are like going through a really tough time, I might, lean more into the blues and the
Mhm.
grays. And when it's a happy time in that same film, I might, then lean more into warm colors and bright colors. And so I think people don't realize it, but like when you're doing all of that, you're kind of setting the mood for the audience.
Mhm.
Yeah,
uh,
you are.
they're not realizing, that you're manipulating the colors um, to to invoke the mood. So it's really, I would think, in my opinion, sound is the most important part. I think all parts of making a movie are important, but I think sound and color are two of the most important things because they're two of almost the last things that you're doing before you deliver it. But they are also setting the tone. If you listen to a movie, I think it was The Quiet Place, right? Like that sound was
Mhm.
so important because
Yeah.
they weren't talking.
Yeah.
Like the most of the movie was about like how they were using the use of sound design to give you that feeling of fear, happiness, sadness, and I don't think that the average person really realizes how much those things matter because you're just watching a movie. You don't realize that, yeah,
Mhm.
like, I mean, obviously, when you're in a scary movie, right, the jumps, you need all the
Yeah.
Exactly.
music and things to make you scared and all that stuff. But even in rom coms and things like that, like if you really listen to the music, there someone actually took the time out to think about that to set the tone for the audience. So
Yeah, like me and James, well, I mean, I know this Marvel, but me and James, we talk about that scene on the Dark Knight where the Joker is sitting at the table with all of the gangsters,
yeah.
Mhm.
and you don't hear no music at all. But when he stood up to Michael Jaleel White, that was Michael Jaleel White, right?
Michael Jai White.
Michael John White. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
got the wrong name. But when he stood up to him and he had like that pencil, you can hear that music come in and yeah, and then it
Yeah,
starts to intensify as the scene gets. Yeah, yeah, it's very important for the sound and also too the colors because it's very dark and gritty. With
absolutely.
these scenes.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
And yeah, and that's what I love, Kayla, about like with your profession. Like you said, not so many people know about that unless you, because we're actors. Our two other co-hosts there that to go take care of some things. But I like it's really cool to talk to others that's on the other side of the camera, and that work behind the scenes and everything that talk about the color, the sound, and everything else, because that really does push the tone, like you said, of the movie or the series and everything. Like the who was it? I forgot exactly what they were saying. Like the lighting from the window that and the shadows and everything and all that
Mm-hmm.
goes in that. And when I see your work, that's why every time when you post something, I'm like, oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's also really important on the cinematographer too, and the DPs and everybody who's involved with pre-production and production as well, because like if it's shot really well, it makes my job pretty easy.
Yeah.
I don't need to manipulate lights and stuff like that. Like if it's lit really well and and everybody's taking into account like how this is going to affect everybody on the post side, the joke is like, oh, we'll fix it in post. It's like, yeah, but like I shouldn't have to like be fixing like your bad lighting ideas, so I don't want to make it seem like none of those things are important, because they are, because I might get something that I'm like, god, I wish this would have been shot a little more well,
Mhm.
because then i'm
Mhm.
i'm spending less time color grading and more time like adding or removing light sources, and that can just be tedious. I mean, it's part of the job, but
Right.
so everybody's job is really important, but of course I'm a little biased because I'm on the post side.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
So
I'm
what?
sorry.
So what are some of the difficulties of colorism that you have to deal with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say the most difficult
Colorists. I'm sorry, colorists.
colorist, yeah. I would say, yeah, just kind of what I was just talking about, right? Is that things that are poorly lit, sometimes, especially like if things are if it's like nighttime and someone's filming something with like very poor light quality, um,
Mm.
and then they're like, "Oh, can you brighten that up?" And I'm like, "I can, but like I don't have a lot of detail in this because you didn't shoot it with enough light. So like if I lighten it up, it's just going to make it grainy, and then I have to use like noise reduction to bring it down, and it just won't come out looking as good as it possibly can. So whenever you're watching like a big budget movie and things are filmed at night and you can still see the characters and things like that, it's probably because it was lit really well, or it was on like a lot, or a
Mhm.
stage or something. And those are things that like I wish more filmmakers kept in mind, especially when you're first coming up. And also keeping in mind when it's a bright day, and like if things are blown out, like
Mhm.
again, and they're like, oh, can you bring the sky down so that I can see the blue sky? It's like, yeah, I can, but it's also blown out, so like there's not a lot of detail in there. So if there's clouds and you haven't like balanced your camera, there's not much I can do,
Mm.
so those are the two big difficulties, um, I would say. Outside of that, um, yeah, because I mean, like, my job is to make sure that, like, if you're using different cameras, shooting in different lightings, or it might be a different time of day for the same scene, and you have to balance everything to make it one cohesive look, and
Mm.
that can be difficult. I think matching shots is probably one of the most difficult things when I was first starting, was figuring out how to make sure shot by shot that it was fluid and shots were matching. So I think when people are just starting out with color, that's the biggest hurdle to get over, is
Right.
making sure the shots match.
Yeah.
Nice.
And all that is very important. Thank you for sharing that with us too, because that's like I said, for people that are up and coming and people that really should know about it. Because like you said, that fix it in post. That's one phrase that we hear when we on set. We're like, ooh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
and
mean, we're not magicians, like, I mean, we can't, it can feel like that sometimes, I do find myself fixing a lot of like blemishes on people who have like pimples, which
mm,
like whatever, I don't mind doing that. But yeah, there's a lot of little things that I think a lot of people don't realize that we do in post. and that colorists are capable of doing. And you have to be careful what you're good at, right? Because when people know that you can fix things and they think that they can just like slack on things during the production of it and we'll just fix it. And so that can make it a little difficult.
Mm,
But I love doing what I do. I mean, for the most part, like I don't have to wake up, I don't have to put on a suit.
Mm,
I get to work on TV shows, really cool TV shows.
mhm.
And yeah, it's great. I mean, I know that our industry right now is in a difficult place, and so I don't take for granted, that I have a job and a really good job, and I work at a place where people care about me, and my coworkers care about me, my boss cares about me. I don't think I've ever really felt that in other places. Sometimes you're showing up, you're going to work, you're doing your job, you go home. Whereas here, I feel like everybody wants to see each other grow and learn, and that's a really good feeling.
Yeah. When you say difficult place, you mean like with AI, anything like that?
No, I just mean that, like I think with the strikes last year,
Yeah, the strike
right.
and everything. Yeah.
and
Pandemic and
my
everything.
union that I'm a part of, they IATSE, they are now in um uh what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Renegotiating their contract as
Oh
well.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
we find out if we're gonna go on strike at the end of July. Um and I think they're having a conversation at the end of this month, and hopefully their hope is that they actually come to an agreement so that we don't have to go on strike. And I know
Mm,
that people are like still hurting from the past two strikes that just happened, and people aren't working. People have been out of work for a year or more because of that.
mm,
I'm not really worried about AI just yet.
yeah.
I think we just need to learn how to utilize it. I think that actors probably have more to worry about. I mean, yeah, you're an actor, right, Jaffe? Like you tell me, like, are you worried about AI?
Um, I be honest with you, I'm really not. It's crazy that I'm not because like once it really, I'm one of those types where it's like, okay, I see it coming, but I'm like, once it get here, then I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, me.
But I'm not too much worried about it just yet. But I just like how you said, I'd see how we can utilize it.
Hmm.
But as long as we make a good amount off of it, if they're using us, because no, I still feel that that's that part right there where I'm like, going against somebody and taking their face and everything else, and their features and everything, and using it against them and not
Yeah.
paying for it. That is very messed up. So hopefully, like you said, we can work out something because
Yeah.
I would hate to wake up one day. I'm like, hey, I'm not in that right there.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so,
I've seen that like Viola Davis has already had her likeness used on some Instagram
yeah.
stuff. That's kind of scary. And then I think what's her name? The girl who did Goop. Um,
Oh,
um,
I can't. Her name escapes me right now.
it's not
Uh,
Gwyneth Paltrow, is it? No,
mm, but I know you're talking about
it's
though.
another blonde white lady.
Yeah, I know the one.
Anyway, yeah, I saw someone was using her face to try to sell something as well.
Yeah,
So that's like the part that I think is scary is that people are starting to use like famous people's likeness to sell
yeah,
stuff, and
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see like how they can start legally coming after these people because I think
yeah.
regardless how much money you make or how much you're worth, I think that people should still be getting compensated for
Right.
people
Yeah.
using their face to sell
It,
stuff.
we both are actors like the other two co-hosts. They're not here, but
Hmm.
I don't worry about AI at all because I feel like at the end of the day, it's the human aspect of it that draws the attention to bring
Yeah,
people in, and the raw emotions. And it's like a computer cannot generate that, you
Yeah.
know.
yeah, not
So
yet.
Now,
Not yet. Not
and
yet.
now I'm about to be getting my conspiracy theory down the rabbit hole. But I don't want to go there.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. That's just how I feel. Maybe I'm optimistic about the situation, but
yeah,
I don't worry about AI. I know my son showed me something that was crazy that you can put rap lyrics and just mention a topic and they will come down with make a whole song.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty
Um,
wild.
Chat GPT, and I'm like, I'm really reading the lyrics, and I'm like, it's really good.
Yeah. Well, it's like Drake who was able to use Tupac's voice to make
Oh
the
yeah,
Kendrick diss, right? It's like, that's where
yeah,
it starts to get real scary, you know?
yeah,
Like,
The House of Tupac Shakur about to talk to you in a minute, Dre.
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I think they made him take it
yeah.
down. I think
Mm.
they definitely were like, no, you cannot do that.
No,
Yeah.
you can't do
So,
that. Yeah,
but it was, if you were quick enough to hear it, it was very interesting to hear, because you could hear that it was Drake
Right.
rapping. I mean, you know what kind of rap it, like what kind of lyricist Drake is. So you knew
mm,
it wasn't Tupac, obviously. You knew
right,
he wrote it and he was rapping it in his voice and just adding Tupac, but it was pretty crazy to hear too, because you're like,
Yeah.
damn, it sounds like Tupac. I know it's not him, but
Yeah. One of
right.
those right there. And
One of those.
speaking of what you said earlier, like the blemishes and everything, God bless you and thank you for making us look good.
Yeah, yeah. God
We
bless
was
you. Shout out to you.
we were on we were actually I first came to know of your work on Hip Hop Family Christmas.
yeah, I remember that.
And that's when I first saw. I'm like, who is it? 'Cause, like me being an actor and us, so I'm like trying to find out, just follow people. And that's when I
Mhm.
saw you. I'm like, oh snap! And I'm like, okay. And then that's why I saw your work. And I'm like, man, just talented. So just give me your flowers, but thank you. Make me look good because I think I had like a zit or something where.
For making us
Yeah,
all look good.
that was a fun one to work on. I was blessed that somebody reached out to me to work on that. That's a perfect example of something that was shot really well. Like
Mm,
it was shot really well. I was able to come in and set a look, and it just everything just kind of came together. I mean, there were like some blurs that I had to do because like there were logos that they didn't want on there, but
right.
Mhm.
outside of that, yeah, it was a lot of fun to work on. And yeah, that was like probably that was my first broadcast colorist credit. So
Oh,
yeah, it was a fun one.
nice,
Congrats,
nice,
congrats on that one, man.
Thank you.
nice.
And that it was fun to be a part of that. That was like during it just takes me back because that was like that a couple years ago. That was when I left my main job to pursue
Yeah.
acting full time.
Mm,
Of course, I had to go back because we got to
yeah,
pay for stuff.
yeah.
But it was funny too because like at first, they used me in different areas. They're like, "You got a suit, you got this," like, "Yeah, yeah." And then the next last one, they was like, "Hey, can you dress as a pimp?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so that was me walking that hallway and everything
Yeah.
with the last one when I looked at him up and down, and then I did a little handshake and I walked off and everything. I had the little tan brown thing. I
Mm,
was the only one with the cane, and
yeah.
then and I sat behind Redman and MC Light in the wedding ceremony. So it was really fun. So thank you again, like I said, for making
Yeah,
us
of
look
course.
good.
Yeah, because we did the background. Well, James did that part, and then several of us we did the background, like the what scene was that for? Like the bar
The
dance.
Christmas party,
Yeah,
the beginning
yeah,
of the Christmas
Christmas
party.
Oh yeah, yeah,
choreography.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we was there for like what 12, 13 hours.
Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Early on in my career, I did some PA work and on set, and I'm like, oh man, like being
Yeah,
on set for 12 hours. I
yeah,
mean, it's cool to see the stuff that they do, but
yeah.
like being on
Mhm.
set for 12 hours and just kind of like standing around or, like being background, I was like, yeah, this is definitely not what I definitely don't want to be on the production side. Like, no desire to be an actor whatsoever. So yeah, I give it to you guys because those are long days, and you're just waiting for your moment, to go on, and so yeah, I don't think anyone's job in this industry can be taken for granted because everybody pulls their weight, and work long, hard hours to be able to bring something that hopefully brings some kind of joy to people. So,
Hmm.
Right.
I agree. Now I saw on your website you did some work for Will Smith. Was it the Fitbit?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That was a couple years ago.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't, to be honest, I don't even, I think I saw a job posting somewhere and I just like applied for it and they ended up calling me. Um, Will Smith, he did a couple of, I don't know, I think it was like two series of workout videos for
Mhm.
Fitbit.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, yeah, I was able to color some stuff that he did for like yoga and working out. And yeah, it was fun. And then like they would call me every so often for like small things for his company to color grade. But yeah, once I got the job at Marvel, they kind of stopped calling. I think they were like they knew that I'd be too busy to jump on stuff in the middle of the day, and help
Yeah,
them out. So, but
yeah.
yeah, it was a fun experience. I mean, they're great people to work with. I mean, I never worked with him directly,
Oh,
um, but yeah, it was cool.
okay.
Nice. So you have the benefits of seeing projects before the masses see them. Now,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you this question. You don't have to say nothing, but how hard is it for you to keep a lid on like the secrets of like, ooh, 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 this is gonna happen. Like, ooh, this.
Um, yeah, if I'm being completely honest, it's not that hard at all because the only person I really know who is like interested in the Marvel stuff is like my brother.
Mm,
So like, and he just waits for it to come out. He doesn't really ask me what's gonna happen. I don't work on any of the movies, like if I do work on the movies, it's very minimal stuff, and I don't really know what's gonna happen until everybody else does. I
Right,
work on the streaming stuff, the television shows. So I mean, I do see people talking about it online, and I just kind of scroll past because, yeah, I
mm,
am under NDA and I can't talk about it. But
right.
um, when I used to work for like reality shows, very briefly, I worked on like the very first season of Love Is Blind. Um,
Mm,
that
mm.
was difficult because everybody is watching that, and
Yeah, my wife would pester you. You wouldn't
yeah,
do what she
and
said.
you're just
She
like,
would
you're
stalk
like,
you.
I don't know, or you try not to tell people that you work on it, so that they don't ask you. I think Marvel is such like a niche type of content that it's like I don't really have a lot of. I mean, I don't have any kids, so like I don't hang around children who like really care about Marvel, and then yeah, like the other people who like do really care about it, they're just not in my group of friends. So like
right.
Right.
nobody's really asking me about like what's happening in the Marvel universe. So it's actually pretty easy for me. I think, but I have such a small circle as well. I think if I like had a bigger circle and yeah, I actually don't have a lot of people asking me about it. It's pretty
That's,
like because there's a lot of people who don't like Marvel for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
Right. Right. Right.
So
yeah. But we're not worried about them.
yeah,
Oh, we're not talking about them.
yeah.
We love it though. But and before we get into the, because I know you worked on the X-Men. What are
Yeah.
those posters back there? I can't take my eyes off those posters back
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah.
They're
X-Men
pretty
97.
cool.
What's the one with the glare? Because I can't see that one.
Oh, it's Echo.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Echo
okay,
There's
okay,
too.
a
okay, yeah,
glare.
yeah, Echo, yeah.
So yeah, Echo. And then yeah, I'm really excited about what's coming up this fall and next year. There's some stuff I'm working on that this Halloween. I mean, yeah, there's already a trailer out. Agatha.
Yeah.
Um, that's going to be a really really fun one. So I'm excited about that and to see what the audience thinks about that.
I have to give you a salute on Loki because Loki production, like the picture, it was so good. And maybe you can maybe you can confirm this for me, but I always kept seeing green,
Grain.
green, like the color green,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like maybe that was something that I just kept catching, and like that was a thing in the whole series was like
Yeah.
a little pieces of green, like little shades of green
Hmm.
in every single scene.
Yeah, and then at the very end, right?
Oh yeah, when
That
he's
big
yeah
green scene.
yeah they
So yeah. There's definitely green in it. And they relied heavily on grain. And at the very beginning, there's like when they're um, oh shit, I can't think of the name of the where they what is it called? It's very orange. Um,
Oh,
oh
with
the
the
TBA the
with
Yeah, the
TVA,
TBA
TVA.
yeah.
Yes, thank
yeah
you. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was the first show I worked on was the one with Sam Jackson. And Loki was the second show I worked on. So Loki was like when I really started to understand how they were using things and the look of Marvel. And so yeah, that was fun. Loki was a lot of fun.
That's dope, man. That's pretty cool that you get a chance to see some of the things before they come out and everything. I know that's one of the perks with the job and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I mean, I think also like for me, it's cool to like know what's gonna happen before it comes out, but like I
yeah,
like working on it and seeing how the colorist is color grading everything and the tools that he's using and how he's coming to the look of each show. That's the fun of it for me.
that's so dope, man. And before we get shot here, I gotta ask. Well, first one was congrats on the X-Men because that's like,
oh
Yeah,
my
everybody
god,
loves that one.
oh
That's
my
a big
god,
one.
oh my
salute
god,
to you, anybody that had anything to do with that TV series,
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, that was fun.
yeah. Childhood unlocked to where it was just like, oh my, like I didn't, because we kept hearing rumors about it,
Yeah,
Hmm.
but you like, oh okay, you're like yeah, it happened when it happened. But then when it came out, I saw a trailer. I was like, I watched the trailer like I lost count, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, so
Yeah, my
yeah,
Mickey
brother was
Mouse
pretty excited about
applesauce.
that one too. So yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You did your thing on that one. You and the whole team on that, and
Yeah.
everybody.
so yeah, shout out to y'all on that one. And yeah, I did talk about that before we let you go.
Yeah. So with X-Men with the colorist Matt Watson, the way he was able to like because basically they really wanted it to look like it's called X-Men 97. They wanted it to have that
Mm,
fit, that old
97.
feel,
Yeah.
you know. And the way that he was able to create that was he was able to use a series of different tools. There was like an adjustment layer that he used to be able to create that look so to kind of make it give that like old school animation feel, so
mm,
it wasn't like perfect animation. We also use a lot of grain, just to be able to give it kind of that VHS grainy look. And
mm,
I think some of the animations they pulled from as references were like Akira, and some old anime stuff, just to kind
Hmm.
of like recreate that. So yeah, it was a combination of using an adjustment layer that the colorist created, as well as grain, and kind of bringing it together to give it this like really like vintage feel, and that was really cool to see.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Like everything like all the work that like I said, Chef's Kiss.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, somebody I was gonna say somebody need to like take your still pictures of what you post and put it in a museum or something like that. It looked
Ah,
it
It
like
was nice.
like
Very
yeah.
nice.
yeah, one day I'll get to the level of like doing stuff like this. Yeah, that'll be cool.
I think you should. It's this guy that I follow. His name is Boss Logic. He
Mhm.
does some work like that too with the stills, and but he takes them into making it in his own, like whatever trending. He's awesome in doing that kind of work.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check them out.
Yes, ma'am.
But like I said, thank you again for joining us. Do you have any gems or any advice you want to share with the audience before you leave that can help others? And This business.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as post production and color grading specifically is concerned, if you already know that that's what you want to do, like for me personally, like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. You know, I kind of like found it through different jobs. But if you know that this is what you want to do, my advice would be to find someone who's willing to mentor you and show you the ropes. I would say start off. I started off as a post coordinator, and then I just because I was working with editors around me and online editors, and there should be at least a colorist around there. You know, just sit with them, ask them how they learned, what are some things that got them to where they were at. Because for the most part, people are willing to teach you. And hopefully through like getting, because I don't think it's like if you even start out as a post PA, you can then become a post production post coordinator, and then you're like, okay, like maybe you want to be an assistant editor to be eventually become an editor, or if you want to be an assistant online editor to eventually become an online editor, or someone who is just supporting an online editor and a colorist because you want to color. Those are ways that you can do it. I mean, if you already have some kind of skills to be a color assist, I mean, you don't have to particularly go the route that I did, but I would just say that, try to get in at those jobs who are looking for young talent, and, wait for your chance, because once it's your chance, you might only get one, like that Eminem song, but, and just be ready, because when they come calling, you got to be ready. And the thing about color grading is it's all subjective. So like some people will love your work, some people won't, and not to take anything personally, and to just keep doing it. I just keep doing it with the hopes that one day I'll be able to actually get a seat in the chair. So that would be my advice.
Nice,
Well, there
nice.
you have it.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Caleb Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so
Thank
so much.
you.
Tell us where can we find you at?
Yeah, my website is Thumper's Color with two R's. So that's THUMPERRS color.com. And then on Instagram, it's at Thumper's Color. So same wording, same spelling. I'm also on Facebook. So facebook.com /Thumper's Color. So yeah, but pretty much anywhere Thumper's Color is where you can find me.
Okay.
Got it. There you have it. Thank you again.